Okay, so yesterday we finished our drafts for our literary essay, so today we get to begin the revising process. So as of up to now, we've already written a formal thesis statement, we found textual evidence to support our thesis, we've written angled retellings, drafted introductions, body paragraphs, and conclusions, as well as found evidence and explanations in our body paragraphs, a nice even balance, so not too much evidence with not enough explanation, and vice versa. So today we're going to teach you how to revise your literary essay by adding literary terms to your essay. This makes your writing stronger and more sophisticated, and it also shows how able you are to analyze literature because you're using the proper terminology. So when we write about literature, we want to use sophisticated literary language to demonstrate we are knowledgeable about analysis. So we don't want to just explain what we mean, we also want to use the proper language to describe what we are analyzing. So first I'm going to read my paragraph and look for places to insert literary terms. Mahatma Gandhi once advised, "Be the change that you want to see in the world." This is easy to say, yet difficult to do. However, there are people who epitomize this saying, both in life and characters, who demonstrate this in literature. Jacqueline Woodson's children's book, The Other Side, introduces us to such a character. One summer day, Clover, an African-American child who lives in a segregated town, notices a white girl named Annie sitting alone on a fence that separates the black side of town from the white side of town. Clover realizes that society is not always right and that she can begin to change the world by bravely sitting on top of the fence. Clover, the narrator of The Other Side, illustrates that one person can change the world. So if you notice, two of these sentences are bolded in red. And the reason for that is because these are sentences that I know I can introduce some of my literary terminology. So I'm going to show you how on the next slide. Let's look at our first sentence over here, or my first underlined statement. One summer, Clover, an African-American child. This is a good place to add the word protagonist because I know that's who Clover is. Clover is the main character. So I'm going to change my sentence to say, one summer day, the protagonist, Clover, an African-American child. It just makes my writing sound more like I know more about what I'm talking about, that I'm able to analyze literature appropriately with the right terminology. So the next sentence is we talk about how one person can change the world. So we're talking about how Clover is a dynamic character. Since I know that, I want to make sure I use that terminology. So a study of a dynamic character like Clover, the narrator of The Other Side, illustrates a theme. And the reason I want to use theme is because that's exactly the message that Clover is sending in her story. And I know that the theme of the story is the message the author wants you to receive. So I can just use the terminology that I've used in my everyday language arts class and add them into my literary essay. So now look at this paragraph and read it to yourselves, and then look at the red bolded statements and see how you can add some literary terminology in there by using your literary terminology handout. So one of the best things to do is, for the first one, at first Clover stays to one side of the fence. Well, I know that the fence is actually a symbol of segregation in this story, so therefore I'm going to change fence and include the fact that I know it's a symbol. The second sentence, Clover wonders why everyone and everything in their town is separated. So she wonders why there's this conflict. So that's another word I can use in my story, or in my essay, to show that I know that a conflict is in the essay, in the short story. So the reason we do this is it's appropriate to use literary terms because it makes your writing more effective and it makes your writing more believable. It shows that you know what you're talking about. The same way if you want to write an essay in science class, you want to use the appropriate terminology. That way it shows that you've done your research and you know what you're talking about. So your assignment for workshop today is to read your literary essay and circle the literary terms you may have already included. So you may have already said dynamic character, motif, symbolism, anything like that. Then you're going to find places in your essay where you can add literary terms. Our goal for today is to get at least 5. Then you're going to highlight the terms you've added. After you've had time to do that, you're there going to share with some of the places that you added into your literary essay with your small writing groups. So get started, and if you have any questions, just raise your hand or try and rewatch the video.